Rumors had been spreading for weeks in Paris about a strange broadcast coming from the Eiffel Tower. It was 1906, and the city that had already birthed radiotelegraphy now whispered of something else. Voices in the static. People who walked out of cafes and could not remember their names. Clocks that melted an hour from their faces. The official line, telegraph interference from Marconi sets, atmospheric disturbance, never satisfied the witnesses, nor the man who would later be named in the sealed files as the tower's principal engineer, Colonel Gustave Ferrié. Ferrié had been using Gustave Eiffel's metal lattice as an antenna to prove long-range transmission for France's Ministère de la Guerre. Public demonstrations were scheduled, military telegrams were routine. What archival minutes, later taken from a locked chest at the Hôtel de Ville, describe instead is an experiment in harmonic coupling. Engineers recorded an odd resonance that matched no known frequency on the electromagnetic spectrum. A notation in faded ink reads, Resonance corticale, 13.7 Hz approx.
A local telegrapher, Lucien Dupont, filed a complaint with the Prefecture of Police after his wife, who worked at a dressmaker's on Boulevard Saint-Germain, came home and could not recall her wedding day. Dupont's handwriting survives in photographic reproductions. She sits looking at a chair as if it is foreign. When Dupont attempted to log the anomaly at the tower, he was met by a civilian scientist from the École Normale Supérieure and told, officially, to await instructions. Unofficially, he was reassigned.
The newspapers printed rumors that the tower had become a beacon, not just for waves, but for images, that an invisible lattice had been woven above the Seine. A young neurophysiologist from the Sorbonne, Marie Curie, was consulted, according to one confidential memorandum, her name stamped in a later declassification, though she appears to have left no published comment. The Prime Minister, Georges Clemenceau, is recorded as having been briefed. His aide crossed out passages with the terse instruction, confidential, army only. Witnesses reported other phenomena. Sailors described a sudden double dawn over the port of Le Havre. A baker on Rue de Rivoli found his door proved in flashes of lights that left him exhausted. A small delegation of clerks and one Navy lieutenant knocked on the heavy oak doors of the tower on a damp night and were escorted into a room filled with coils and a humming machine. The lieutenant's report, stamped and later hidden, used a phrase that would return in conspiracy pamphlets a century later: temporal slippage. What the technicians had built, if one reads the secret papers as narrative rather than dismissal, was an attempt to synchronize engineered radio harmonics with low-frequency brain oscillations.
They hypothesized that such synchronization could improve signal fidelity for coded messages. The science was crude by later standards, but the effect, if accidental, was profound. A local field that blurred the line between memory and transmission, between a city's past and a tentative future. The military shut the program down after an incident in March. Hospital logs show a cluster of amnesias and acute sensory disorientation. A carriage driver wandered into the Seine and was rescued with no recollection of how he arrived. The tower's maintenance register lists a nighttime strike replacement of an unnamed coil. Then, official censorship descended. Reports were stamped non-diffusé. Ferry's public career continued. He later led legitimate radio development for France. The tower remained an antenna and a tourist magnet. Files surfaced intermittently over the 20th century. Annotations in a 1939 dossier. A redacted cable unearthed in 1973 at the Ministère des Armées. A damp logbook found in 2009 under loose floorboards at the Musée des Arts et Métiers. Each fragment feeds the hunger of historians and conspiracists alike. Was it an engineered mind lapse experiment?
A misread of nascent radio physics? Or something stranger, a brush with a phenomenon that simply did not belong to the year 1906? Today, the tower's lights blink in patterns programmed for anniversaries. Tourists take photographs beneath the iron ribs. But in the margins of otherwise mundane archives, the notation persists. Resonance, human factor unknown. The truth aligns with nothing so tidy as a single explanation. What remains in the half-light of declassified telegrams and the stubborn human memory of a city is a story that reads like a conspiracy and sounds, if you stand on the Seine bank on a certain windless evening, like static that remembers your name.